Good morning. What I'd like to do today is I'd like to introduce or actually reintroduce a rifle that y'all have seen before. If you've watched my videos, then you know that you've seen the work that I've been doing on the Colombian 1912 short rifle. Well, it's pretty much done. There's a couple of pieces that are not quite right on it. Um, when I find them, I'll put them on and make it more complete. You know, the problem is when you have a gun that's 112 years old, they don't always have pieces readily available for you to put on them. So, you know, you do what you can and and then you and then when you find the piece, you swap it out. Anyway, here it is. Here, this is it. This is the 1912 short rifle. You say, man, that looks familiar. Well, it does look familiar because if you look behind at some of my other Mausers, it's it's a 98. It's a M98, and that's pretty much the model that they use to make the Mausers. So they all pretty much look alike, um, but each one has its own differences. Okay, and we'll talk about the differences with this one then over the others. So. Um, right around the turn of the century, the Colombians were experiencing a lot of civil unrest, and a lot of countries that happens to when they get their independence, and it takes them a while to settle out. Some South American and other countries still haven't settled out from after gaining their independence. So, but we're talking about Colombia. Colombia, like I said, still hadn't gotten its act together, and not only internal with the internal political stuff, but the Peruvians, their next door neighbors, they like to cause them trouble too, and so the Colombians decided that they wanted to get a good weapon that they could use to help defend themselves. So what they did was they went to Steyr, Steyr, in Austria, and they entered into a contract with them to build the 1912 Mausers in 7 millimeter Mauser, 7 by 57 Mauser. And I have a 7 by 57 right here. Okay, so that's a pretty good round. So Steer said, "Sure, we'll provide you with it's an undis nobody really knows exactly how many that the Colombians ordered from Steer. The thing is that the Mexicans and their friends, the Peruvians, also ordered rifles, the same rifles, from the from Steer. So the rifles were coming in, and the rifles were doing fine, and they were using them. And then World War I broke out, and World War I broke out, and the Steer is from Austria, which at the time was part of Austria-Hungary, and was also part of in partners with the German Empire prior to World War I. So the rifles stopped coming. So they only had what they had coming, and because Steer needed the rifles for their war that they lost, and so we know how that ended up. So they had these rifles. They got not only the long rifles, the 29-inch rifles, but they also got some carbines, which I think that carbines were 21.5 inches, but not many carbines, mostly long rifles, because that's what people wanted then, and that's what people were using. It was kind of a leftover after the black powder type gunpowder era, and there's that's an Italian um, Carcano rifle. That's I think it's a 31 inch, but at the time they thought that they needed them long. The top three here are 29-inch Mausers. So it's so anyway. So what happened was they went along and they kept going along, and then in 1932 there was a major unsanctioned incursion from Peru into Colombia, and Colombia was having trouble as it was, and they didn't think that they could take care of it. So along came Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam said, "We'll help you out, and we'll provide you with weapons and so forth." and what we'll do is, you know, um, we'll give you the opportunity to have some of our weapons. So that happened, and of course now we've got our foothold in Colombia, and we went down to help them, and we stayed, and that was fine. So the World War II, when World War II came, the Germans were also helping them. The Germans left obviously to go fight their war, and uh, so Colombia, even though they were in such disarray, etc., they did make a declaration. I don't think it was a declaration of war, but that they would fight the Axis powers if need be, and which was more of a gesture, I think, than anything else. So now we're going to jump forward to the next war, which is the Korean War. And the Korean War, Colombia sent troops. They sent troops to help out with the UN forces there, and they were still using the 7 millimeter, and that caused some problems as far as logistics. Um, so Colombia decided what they were going to do was they were going to be more in keeping with our rounds, our weapons. So they converted over to 30-06, and this is the 30-06 here. And when you put it next to the 7 millimeter, you can see that it's a bigger round. Certainly, it's a bigger round. So what they did was they took and they had this place. It's called Our Fromage, and it's written on the side of the. I always put that up. Yeah, you can see it. Our Fromage, and the Our Fromage. What they did was they converted the 1912 Mausers over to short rifles. So they took the rifles and cut them, rebored them, etc., and and turned them into a 30-06. One of the things that they had to do, which is interesting, is they had to put a little divot in there so that the 30-06 would fit, because it wasn't big enough for the for that. It was built obviously for the 7 millimeter. So eventually, in the later 50s, mid 50s, they actually bought 30-06 short rifles and Mausers from FN, which they no longer had a contract with Steyr. They had a contract with FN Herzl. So when the rifles were redone and they were it's cold, they uh, they were done to the standards of the FN uh, rifle. So if they needed, well, I have the two. I have the two. One of them, the barrel is a Steyr barrel, and this barrel here is an FN barrel. And the reason is because they had the contract with FN, and apparently it needed a new barrel, so they used the FN barrel and put it on there. Unfortunately, and I'm not saying it's against FN, but if you watch the videos, we also have a headspace problem. One of them is fine, the Steyr barrel, the old Steyr barrel, but the newer FN barrel is way out of whack on the headspace, and we're going to deal with that in other videos. We're going to try to fix that so we can fire it. And all the other stuff, it's all done. The way that the bands and all that are all done according to the FN standards. So that's where we stand with these guys here. These guys were used up through World War II, um, and beyond, obviously when they were redone in the early 50s, uh, the in the 30-06. So what we're gonna do is I'll go over the rifle here a little bit. Okay, the butt plate's wrong. I know that it's the wrong butt plate, but it's the only butt plate that I had at the time to put on there. It is this is just a general 98 Mauser flat butt plate. And you can see where it's a little bit worn. I had to take and I used a Dremel and flattened it out some so that I could put this on. It has a swivel, regular swivel. Has magazine, 5 rounds, standard 5 rounds. It has the regular sight out to 2,000 yards. It's a regular Mauser sight out to 2,000 yards. It's got the front band, the H-type band that that Mausers have. It's got the hook, which is for the hook is for when they take the guns and they put them together, and they all, you've seen them where they form like a little teepee type thing, and that's what this is used for. I finally have 3 guns, and I'm going to give it a try and see how it works, because I don't see how it works, but we'll see. There's the cleaning rod and the regular Mauser sight. It's missing its Mauser sight right now. There's one in the mail, and when it gets in here, I'll put it in there. But that's has a bent handle. So you say, well, how do you know if the seal is gone on the front? And 3 countries ordered the same rifle. And how do you know that this is a Colombian and not a Peruvian or a Mexican? And that was one of the things that I investigated to find out how I would know that that's true. First of all, one of the big things is that the Colombians were the only ones that went to 30-06. The others went to the NATO rounds, and they went later on, and they actually went to the 308 or the 7-point, the NATO round that they have. The no, on the back here, we know that it's I can't see it, and I need to get better lighting or something. But there's a 30 back here, which says that it's a 30. And up underneath the barrel up here, it has a 3006, so you know it's a 30-06. The other way that you can tell that it's a Colombian Mauser as opposed to the others is over here where it has the manufacturer stamp. And there's plenty of pictures of the stamp, and it's for the Colombian. It says Modelo 1912 Steyr, Austria. The other guys, it's a little more elaborate. It says Waffenfabrik Steyr, Austria, which is the weapons arsenal or the gun factory at Steyr, Austria. So there's a difference there. The Colombians, like I said over here on the side, it says Modelo 1912 on it. On the others, it's up here on the ring where it says, underneath their seal, it says Modelo 1912. So those are some easy ways to tell whether or not it's a Colombian versus another weapon, because there was a question about whether or not it was a Peruvian, say, that had been captured and then they shaved this off so you wouldn't know or whatever, but that's not true. Also, the serial number, the letter is in front of the number, so serial number is F00, so as opposed to having it elsewhere. I guess that's about it for the Colombian 1912 short. Oh wait, I got one other thing. Everybody likes these. I like them too. I've got a bayonet. Now this isn't my bayonet. This is the bayonet that belongs to the kid that I'm helping do the other rifle. I told you that I bought 2 of these, and one of them I'm doing, and the other one I'm helping this kid do one for himself. And he wants to learn how to refurbish weapons. So what we got here is Parkinson's is an awful thing. See it? We have a bayonet. This is not my bayonet. Someday maybe I could afford a bayonet, but right now this is somebody else's, and that's fine. So what you've got to do for the bayonet is you remove the clean rod, and the bayonet goes right on here. Goes over the barrel, over the top, and then you have your Mauser has their lug right here, so you just stick it on the lug and you push down. And there you go, and now it's on. Different rifles have different lugs for their bayonets, so they're not all interchangeable. The Mausers, of course, are all interchangeable. Most Mauser parts are interchangeable. So, but anyway, so there you go. There's the rifle. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see what's up next. All right. Thank you.